Sairam. Hope everyone can hear me. I cannot hear anyone.
I don't know if it's me, it's voices. Um,
Your voice.
Okay, let me try this. Sairam, can everyone hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start the study circle with three ohms. Om. 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 Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavata Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Today is our 99th session, and we do have a good packed agenda. I'm hoping we will all come away with some lessons that we have learned so far. And let me, I've not changed this, but basically just speak from the heart, listen with humility, and be always present during this discussion. So, when of course, being respectful goes without saying. A little review from the last session. I've kept it at a very high level. I did a lot of talking, and as I heard that session, I apologize for everyone because you all had to bear with my voice for over 45 minutes. But the goal was that of that session was basically to review all of our sessions from 1 through 41. I think that's where we reached, and we will continue the review this coming Saturday. But we also did the Ashtavakra meditation from the Ashtavakra Gita, where King Janaka actually, the kind of meditation or the kind of thought process that he had, knowing or believing in the oneness. So that is the kind of meditation that we focused on last week, and then of course continued with the reflections from our sessions. From sessions 1 through 20, we talked about gratitude. We talked about one application, that you would like to take up from this many discussions, and of course on how to make a journal entry for your reflection. I still would recommend everyone to actually either have a journal, or there are many apps that encourage you to take note of the day as a reflection of your um, uh, of your challenges, and especially of all the good things that have happened in the day that made you do the right thing at the right time or say the right thing at the right time. So those are the journal entries that we are looking for. We did talk about a lot of sessions and how on things, and we focused on what we should be learning from them. We talked about importance of the awareness of mind that we focus so much on during our sessions, renunciation, and then of course devotion and surrender. Again, we talked about the journal entry of setting an intention, focusing on that intention through the day. Maybe that is the only intention that you want to focus on. For the rest, that is fine too. But I think that is picking one or two things that you can improve on. That's the focus for us, versus focusing on everything all at once. That was a suggestion that was also shared. So again, just reviewing from the session that we had today. Before I go on, is there anything anyone would like to add from the last session? Okay. So today we have a video, and this is not Swami's, but definitely brings the aspect of what Bhagavat Vahini has been about at Vaidik level. So we will listen to him and then continue our discussion. So just let me know if you cannot hear. Either text me if I don't respond to this, or just unmute and talk over him. That should work. Okay. Sorry, I'm just bringing it to the point that gives the gist of it all.
Telling the various the rishis in Naimisharanya, but the story of Bhagavata is that of when Parikshit is cursed by Shringi to die at the hands of Takshaka in 7 days. He requests that Shuka Maharshi teach him that by which he will get moksha in 7 days. Through it, after which Shuka Maharshi teaches this Bhagavata Mahapurana, and at the end, having taught the Bhagavata Mahapurana, if we see at the closing of the Bhagavata Mahapurana, if we look at the teachings of Shuka Maharshi to Parikshit, you will see that whatever Advaita Tattva has been taught in the outset of Bhagavata is the very same Advaita Tattva that has been taught in the closing of Bhagavata. So there, having told Parikshit about all the various pastimes of Paramatma, Bhagavataha Cheshtam is what Bhagavata tells us. All the various leelas of Paramatma as Krishna, in Paramatma in the form of Krishna in this Bhagavata Mahapurana. Here, Shuka then tells Parikshit as a summation. Tvam tu rajan marishyeti pashubuddhimimam jehi. O Maharaja, get rid of this pashubuddhi that I will die. What is this pashubuddhi? The Upanishad tells us. Yonyam devatam upaste anyo sa vanyoham asmiti nasa veda yatha pashuhu. This is what the Upanishad tells us. Someone who worships Paramatma, thinking that Anyo, so Paramatma is different, Anyoham asmiti, I am different, Nasa Veda, he does not understand the true reality. Yatha Pashuhu, just as an animal is also ignorant of the true situation around it, in the same way, this person also, if he views Paramatma as separate from himself, if he has not yet realized the Jiva Brahma Aikya, that is the Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, if he has not yet realized this Aikya, the unity between the Atma Padarthas, then he does not know it properly. Nasa Veda, Yatha Pashuhu, Anyosau, Anyoham Asmiti, Anyam Devatam Upaste. He who does Upasana of Paramatma, saying that he is separate, I am separate, he does not know, just as a Pashu does not know. Exactly the same is told in, the flip of this is told in Gita, wherein Bhagavan's favorite Bhakta is the Jnani. Udara sarva evaite. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. Bhagavan also says that the Jnani, who is the greatest Bhakta, understands that I am his Atma. So it is that knowing that Paramatma is the Atma, the very same Atma that is within each Jiva, that is the highest Tattva. Someone that does not know this is likened to a Pashu. So this Pashu Buddhi Mimam Jahi, that Shuka Maharshi has told Parikshit, is that of get rid of any Bheda Drishti that you have. Do not see Bheda between yourself and Paramatma. Then what is my true nature? Natvam na jataha prag abhutaha. It is not that you have been born. It is not that tvam adya na bhavishyati. It is not that dehavatvam na nangshyasi. You will not perish like the body. You are not born like the body. You will not perish like the body. So do not think that you will die like the body, is what Shuka Maharshi tells us. Then we might say, see, all Shuka Maharshi said was Pashu Buddhi Mimam Jahi. Get rid of this animal mentality that I am going to die. It is not that Jiva Brahmaikya has been told. In case we were still doubtful about this, Shuka Maharshi then goes on to explain to Parikshit Maharaja what will actually happen when the body falls off. Ghate bhinne yatha kashaha akashasyat yatha pura evam dehe mrite jivaha brahma sampadyate punaha. This is what Shuka Maharshi tells Parikshit. Just as there is a pot, within that, the akasha, that is the space within that pot, is called ghatakasha. The rest of the expanse of space is called mahakasha. So until that pot, as long as that pot exists, we say that there is a ghatakasha. If that pot breaks, ghate bhinne, what happens? Akashaha akashasyat yathapura. That thing that we are calling the ghatakasha goes back to being the mahakasha that it always was. Right? Just it is not that ghatakasha has now disappeared. The akasha that was there within the pot still remains. It is just that it has now attained unity with the mahakasha. That mahakasha that always existed, it now becomes that. In the same way, dehe mrite, once the body is cast off, and the limitations of the body and the mind, the deha is not just the physical body, but it is the mind also. So dehe mrite, once the mind and body are cast off, jivaha, the jiva that remains, brahma sampadyate punaha, he becomes Brahman once again. That is why, as the Upanishad says, Brahmavit Brahmaiva bhavati. He who knows Brahman verily becomes Brahman. Then we get the question, see, that pot, the space within the pot, has been called Ghatakasha because the pot has delineated it. So why are we thinking that the jiva is separate from Brahman? There, Shuka Maharshi continues to tell us that Manasriti Vaidehan Gunan Karmani Chatmanaha Tan Manasrite Maya Tena Jivasya Samsritihi. So it is the manas that gives rise to the deha, the indriyas, the gunas, as well as the actions that go on in this world. Where did the manas come from? Tan manaha srite maya. Maya has given rise to the mind. Tataha jivasya samsritihi. Due to that maya, the jiva attains samsara. Otherwise, were it not for maya, the jiva would have remained as Brahman. So just as the pot only seemingly delineates the akasha, but actually the pot cannot cause any change in akasha. The akasha is akasha, but the pot only seems to delineate a portion of the akasha. In the same way, Maya too, through creating the mind, seems to create the jiva as delineated by the mind. But once the mind is removed to the side and Maya is set off to the side, just as that Ghatakasha is no different from the Mahakasha and indeed is the Mahakasha, so too the jiva, once the mind and body are cast off and Maya is also cast off, the jiva becomes one with Brahman. The jiva is no different from Brahman. Jiva Brahmaiva naparaha. In case we still do not understand what Shuka Maharshi is trying to tell us, Shuka Maharshi, after telling all of this to Parikshit, then tells Parikshit outright, Aham Brahma Parandhama, Brahmaham Paramam Param, Evam Samikshya Chatmanam Atmanyadhaya Nishkale, Dashantam Takshakam Pade, Lelihanam Vishananaihi, Nadrakshasi Sharirancha, Vishwancha Prathag Atmanaha. This is the final word that Shuka tells Parikshit Maharaja, nothing else. This is the last thing. If at all Shukacharya wanted Parikshit to take one thing away from Bhagavata, it was this. Aham Brahma Parandhama. O Parikshit, realize that you are Brahman. The Aham Brahmasmi Vakya has been put here verbatim. Aham Brahma Parandhama. I am that highest Brahman. Brahmaham Paramam Param. I am that Brahman. Evam Samikshya. Samyagikshanam. This is the proper way to understand things. If you understand this properly, then what will happen? Atmanyadhaya Nishkale Atmani. Atmanam Atmanyadhaya. The Jivatma will find unity into Paramatma. Then what will happen? Dashantam Takshakam Pade. When Takshaka comes to bite you, that Takshaka, Shariram, your own body, Vishwam, this entire cosmos, you will realize that Atmanaha Prithaka Nadrakshyasi. You will not see them as separate from your own Atma. That is to say, exactly what has been told in the first shloka, that this Jagat is imposed in Paramatma and therefore it is not separate from Paramatma. That is exactly what is told here, that if the Jiva realizes that Aham Brahmasmi, if the Jiva realizes that his true nature is Brahman, then what happens? The other Jivas, that is to say Takshaka, etc., other Jivas, the very body of the Jiva itself and the rest of the cosmos as well, will be seen to be imposed in Brahman, not separate from Brahman. Prithak Atmanaha Nadrakshasi. Nadrakshasi cha Nadrakshasi sharirancha vishwancha prithagatmanaha. For this final knowledge to come, what is the jnana that you need to have? Aham Brahma Parandhama. That Advaita jnana is what Shukacharya was trying to teach Parikshit through the course of Bhagavata. So this is the final word of Shukacharya. So after this, Shukacharya does not speak to Parikshit. After saying this, Parikshit says, I have understood, my moha has gone. Shukacharya continues on with the other sadhus. Then we need to see what happened to Parikshit. Did this Aham Brahma actually give him moksha? If we see what happened to Parikshit later, Brahma Bhutasya Rajarshehe Dehaha Ahi Garalagnina Babhuva Bhasmasat Sadhyaha Pashyatam Sarvadehinam Rajarshehe Dehaha Bhasmasat Babhuva. The body of Parikshit became Bhasma. So very clearly here, see in Puranas also, in many places, we say that Hiranyakashipu died, Hiranyaksha died, Ravana died. But here, the Purana is very clear to say that Parikshit's body became Bhasma, showing that Parikshit has realized that he is the Atma separate from the body. Then what did Parikshit become? Brahmabhutasya Rajarshehe. Parikshit, having obtained the jnana that Aham Brahma Parandhama that Shukacharya taught him, had become Brahman. As you said earlier, Jivaha Brahma Sampadyate. The Jiva becomes Brahman. In the same way, Parikshit too, having obtained this jnana, had become a Jivan Mukta, and that is why he is referred to here as Rajarshehe. He is not just, in the shloka there, Bhupatehe could also have been told. But Parikshit now is not just any king, but he is a Rajarshi, a king who has attained spiritual excellence, just as Janaka did. So such a Rajarshi, Parikshit, had become Brahmabhuta. He had attained unity with Brahman. Therefore, it was not him that died, but Brahmabhutasya Rajarshehe Dehaha Ahi Garalagnina, through the poison of Takshaka, his body Bhasmasat Babhuva. His body became Bhasma. So we can clearly see here that the purport or the fruit of the Advaita Jnana that was taught by Vyasa Maharshi throughout Bhagavata, the fruit of the Advaita Jnana that Shukacharya impressed upon Parikshit is that you will become Brahmabhuta, you will attain unity with Brahman, and the body and all will not seek to torment you anymore. It will not be able to cause you any pain. So this is what Bhagavata is telling us. It is also, as Advaitins, it is also important that we recognize that it is one Ishvara that takes upon many forms. That Ishvara alone appears as Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, Ganesha, Surya in various forms. Krishna also tells the same in the Padma Purana as well. Shaiva, Shaurashtra, Ganeshaha, Yajave Shakti Pujakaha, Te Mameva Prapnuantiha, Varashambha Sagaranyatha. So all of that Krishna has told. Krishna tells Satyabhama that in other Puranas as well. And in pretty much every single Purana, there are numerous statements showing that Ishvara is one. He takes upon many forms such as Vishnu and Shiva. So this unity between Vishnu and Shiva is also seen in many places throughout Bhagavata. That is why Sridharacharya, while writing the Bhagavata Vyakhyana, the first namaskara he does is to his Ishtadevata Narasimha, who is found in the very heart of the Bhagavata. The namaskara after that, after doing namaskara to Krishna, he says, Madhavo Madhavo. I do namaskara to Madhava and Umadhava, that is to say Vishnu and Shiva, who are Ishau. They are two forms of one Ishvara. There is one Ishvara who takes a form of Vishnu and the form of Shiva. So Shiva is not a Jiva, Vishnu is also not a Jiva. So they are both forms of Ishvara. So Madhavo Ishau Sarva Siddhi Vidhayino. They bestow fulfillment upon their bhaktas. Vande Parasparatmano. They are each other's very soul. Paraspara Nutipriyo. They are fond of praising each other. So here in Bhagavata, because Bhagavata primarily talks about Krishna, here Krishna is shown as Paramatma and Shiva is shown as Krishna's Bhakta. There are some instances wherein Shiva is shown as Paramatma. For example, during the Halahala Bhakshana, during the churning of the Milky Ocean, of the Kshetrasagara, when Shiva is prayed to, immediately there is a big stuti that all the devatas do, showing Shiva clearly as the Ishvara, who is the highest entity. And then immediately Shiva says, I will drink the poison because if Vishnu is happy, the entire Jagat will be happy. So to make Vishnu happy, I will drink this poison. So immediately Shiva is praised as Paramatma, and immediately Shiva says that I want to make Vishnu happy. So nicely that Samarasya, that Sadbhava, that happiness or that Aikya between Vishnu and Shiva is nicely shown in that place. After the instance of Daksha Yajna, Vishnu himself states that we three Trimurtis, that is to say Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, we are the form of one Ishvara. So anyone who shows who behaves improperly towards any one of the three of us has disrespected the other two. Anyone who disrespects Shiva has disrespected Vishnu. That is the entire point of the Daksha Yajna story. At the end of the Daksha Yajna story, Narayana himself tells this. And one more beautiful thing is the last story in Bhagavata. So in the Dvadasha Skandha, in the 12th Skandha, the 5th and 6th Adhyayas contain the closing of Parikshit's story and Parikshit getting moksha and all of that. Then in the very last story out of those 13 Adhyayas is the story of Markandeya Maharshi. So Markandeya, this comes in the 9th, 10th, and the 9th and 10th Adhyayas of the 12th Skandha. The last story are told there. After that, it is just Suta Maharshi summing up Bhagavata, and then the last Adhyaya is the Phalashruti of Bhagavata. So the last story that is told in Bhagavata is that of Markandeya Maharshi. So very interestingly, this Markandeya Maharshi asks Vishnu that I want to understand the Shakti of your Maya. That is when immediately the Pralaya Sagara comes, he sees Narayana's Vatapatra Shahi, then Vishnu just breathes in, and immediately that Markandeya is sucked in to Krishna. Within Krishna, he sees the entire cosmos and he comes back out. So after seeing this, Markandeya Maharshi sits doing dhyana of that Paramatma Tattva. To that Markandeya Maharshi, Rudro Jagatpati, Vishnu, Parameshwara, Shiva, he is passing by that route. He sees this Markandeya and immediately Parvati says, let us go bless him. At which point Shiva also says, okay, let us go. So Shiva then comes to Markandeya Maharshi. Markandeya Maharshi is so immersed in dhyana that he does not see Shiva standing in front of him. At which point Shiva, through Yoga Maya, says Bhagavata, through Yoga Maya, he comes into Markandeya's heart. So there it says, Markandeya Atmani Shivam Labdha, having seen Shiva, or Hriday Shivam Labdha, having obtained Shiva in his mind, he opens his eyes. Immediately he does Namaskara to Shiva, Namah Shivaya Shantaya, when Namaskara comes here, Namaskara to Shiva. And then immediately he says he does Namaskara to Shiva. Immediately Shiva says, I will give you a boon now. Because Vayam Trayaha Varadeshaha, Varadesha Vayam Trayaha. Shiva says, the three of us, that is to say, myself, Vishnu and Brahma. Three of us, the Trimurtis, who are the three forms that Ishvara takes to do Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. We are the greatest of those who give varas. So you can choose anything that you want. And then after that, Shiva praises the greatness of Jnanis. So the importance of Jnana is also found. And then Shiva says, Brahmana Santa Sadhavaha, Ekanta Bhaktaha Asmasu. The greatest people, the greatest Jnanis are those people who are Nirmatsaraha. They do not have any Matsarya. Nirvairaha. They do not have any enmity towards anyone. Asmasu Ekanta Bhaktaha. They have the utmost bhakti towards the three of us. So those people are the greatest bhaktas. And then he says one more thing. Nate mai achyate jecha bheda mandvapi chakshate. Bheda mandvapi chakshate. Atmanascha janaschaiva. Tad yushman vayamimahi. So the quality of these jnanis, like Markandeya, who have obtained jnana, is they Mayi in Shiva, Achyate in Vishnu, Aje in Brahma, Bhidam Anvapi, na chakshate. They do not see even an atom of difference. Nate, those people, Nate, Mayi Achyate, Nate, Mayi Achyate, Jecha, Bhidam Anvapi chakshate. And not just between the Trimurtis, they also do not see Atmanascha Janasyapi. Between themselves and all other jivas, they do not see any difference because they have realized that it is one Atma that is found in all of these other beings. So therefore, these jnanis are so illustrious that they do not see bheda between the forms of Ishvara. They also do not see bheda between the Atma of themselves and other jivas. So what is the illustrious state that they get? Tat, therefore, Vayam Yushman Imahi. Therefore, Vayam, we Trimurtis come to you. It is not that you come to us. We come to you, as evidenced by Vishnu coming to Markandeya, just here also Shiva coming to Markandeya. So very nicely, the ending of Parikshit's story shows us the Jiva Brahmaikya, and the ending of the stories of Bhagavata, that is the Markandeya story, shows us that this Madhavo, Paraspara Nutipriyo, Parasparatmano, that Markandeya saw Vishnu's true form and received the fruit of it from Shiva. So this Tattva, which is taught in Bhagavata, this Advaita Tattva, is very clearly taught through the course of this Bhagavata Mahapurana. This same thing comes in the Dashamaskandha as well. If we talk about all of that as well, it will be a much longer lecture. But clearly the Gopikas also say to Krishna that you are beyond words. It is you alone that is seen in all of us. The example that they give there is, just as one moon is seen as manifold reflected in each wave of a lake, so to you, O Krishna, are seen as manifold reflected in the Antakarana of each Jiva. This is exactly what is told in the Upanishad, sir. Drishyate Jalachandravat. Just as one Atma is seen as though multiple, due to there being multiple Antakaranas, in the same way, one Atma is seen as though manifold in each Jiva. So this is what the Gopikas say to Krishna in the Dashamaskandha. The Shruti Gitas, the Gopika Gitas, all of these, the highest peak of Bhagavata, which is found in Dashamaskandha, also very clearly shows the Tattva of Krishna Paramatma. Because Krishna is none other than that Ishvara who is talked about. That Ishvara has taken upon the form of Krishna to do anugraha to grace all the bhaktas of Vrindavana as well as the bhaktas of Mathura, Dwaraka, etc. So that Tattva of Paramatma is so clearly seen through Bhagavata, and we must remain eternally grateful to Vyasa Maharshi for giving us such a text that at once allows us to indulge our bhakti towards Paramatma, obtain Paramatma's grace as Rama, as Krishna, as Narasimha, as Shiva, as Ganesha, as all of these various forms. Here in this though, mainly as Krishna Paramatma, also as Rama and Narasimha, whose stories also appear as side stories within within the Srimad Bhagavata. We can both obtain the grace of that Paramatma who appears in all of these various avatars, as well as allow us to understand the true tattva of that Paramatma, that Advaita tattva of that Paramatma, through which we can attain the highest bhakti, which is unity in that Paramatma. So, thus, doing namaskara to that Paramatma, I take your leave, and we shall meet again in a
Okay, Sairam. I know there was a lot of Sanskrit, and I don't know if that was distracting, but from the message. But I really think that this is the essence of Bhagavatam. We learned or we listened to stories, but those stories are meant to point us in this direction. Of course, Swami's Bhagavat Vahini at every point has always shown us that in various ways. But I just thought that this was a nice culmination of everything. Of course, I'm very grateful to those who have pointed me out to this video. I didn't even know it existed. So with that, does anyone have anything to add before we move on?
Saira.
Saira.
I'm very happy to watch this video. Yeah, Sanskrit is there, but he explains in English also.
Yes.
And so I don't think that should be a problem.
Mm.
But what I'm happy about is the in Bhagavata Vahini, we didn't go to this kind of teaching at the end. All we heard was, Parikshit was listening to the story and he was bitten by the snake and then
Yes.
he died. But the true teaching of Sukha was not mentioned in this Bhagavata Vahini. And I haven't read the whole Bhagavatam by itself, so I didn't know.
Yes.
So that is why I'm happy to hear that Sukha was teaching him that, Aham Brahmasmi, we are all Brahman, and all that Advaita. And then Parikshit realized he is one with the Brahman. Then he gets that mukti, that his body become ashes or bhasma,
Yeah.
So yes, listening to stories are good, but then that itself doesn't elevate until and unless you self-realize the truth, right? You realize that you are that.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
teaching is there. So that's why I'm very happy to hear this narration, this explanation here. And also one more thing, that we did talk about Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma.
Yes,
Remember some time ago?
yes.
Creation, sustenance, and destruction.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that also very nicely explained. All gods are one, only the name and form different. They do different things. But at the end, he explains that Markandeya's story that all
Markandeya story. Yes.
right. So that was very nice to hear. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add?
Sairam. See, Swami has told this is the Advaita principle, which we all have heard and we have discussed this.
Right.
But the real, I mean, we have talked about it. So the real challenge is in realizing that we are all one Atma, and seeing the role of Maya in our day-to-day life. And go beyond the Maya. So in other words, we should be able to instantly see the role of Maya and go beyond. So that is the sadhana that we have to take. And I know the one step that Bhavani, as you had mentioned last time, to identify something that we consider as a weakness. When we say weakness, that is a distraction from realizing, or in other words, falling the prey to Maya. So one thing that we can identify and that which we can get over, I think that is the first step. And then slowly we can progress in seeing the role of, the more and more we see Maya, or we see the effect of Maya, the more and more we will be able to negate it or go beyond it. That's what I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. So with that, if anyone else has anything to add, I know I see a lot of people on. I have. Okay. I actually just was reading through Bhagavatha Vahini one more time, and kind of thought that there are these themes that we can relate to. And I actually heard, in one of the talks, I think it is Sanjay Mahalingam, who actually talked about it, that the theme of Bhagavatam, that Swami gives, he gives love as the basis, as the bridge. And then the opening thought from Swami, that actually came from Sanjay Mahalingam in one of his talks. And he said the Bhagavata is not a collection of stories, it is the mirror of the highest truth. And in every story, in every character, you can see yourself. You can discover your own journey in some way, some form, because the reaction of those characters is so human, at a human level, and the actions sometimes are so different from how we would do, and those are the comparisons that I think Swami was talking to them about when he was talking about Bhagavata. So that is what. So with that, I actually thought we'll just talk about the themes. I know we don't have too much time, but we can continue the discussion on Saturday following the meditation. So the first theme is love as the bridge to oneness. Swami's quote is, "Love is the path, love is God, and live in love." Again, live in... First off, how does divine love lead us from duality to recognition of oneness? We have talked about it. These are just thoughts for you to think about, and we can definitely discuss. And what practices have you been able to do, or, to help us from this personal love into universal love? We talk about it, yes. Is there been a practice that you have had? Love is the easiest of emotions to talk about, I think, as well.
Sairam, love is the easiest to talk, but it is the hardest to practice.
To practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even wonder what is love. It has like a broad spectrum of, that love encompasses everyone. It seems so easy, just love. Swami always talks about love, love, love. That's all,
Yes.
right? But it is a very hard one to love everybody. I mean, it's not a big deal to love somebody you really like in your life, family, friend circle, neighbors, whatever. But even when you see something going on negatively, even then to love that, it is really hard because we are stuck with the name and form.
Correct.
But Atman level, yes, if we remind ourselves we are all one, even if you don't believe it, we can say that to ourselves and say, I love that, what is inside. Okay. But for me to help me transform, I don't know, it has transformed me, but this Jyoti meditation, it helps any meditation, and which says that that universal love, at Atman level, you go and, encompass everybody with your love and light. That for a few minutes, when I was doing that, I could feel that, that some kind of a happiness comes from within. So I suppose that is the love for everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we
Right on.
yeah, please go ahead.
Right. What I think is as Umaji mentioned, it's difficult to define or describe love. That's probably because we are love personified. So what we can describe is anything that is not love. So anything that disturbs that love is
Yeah.
what we can identify. So the opposite of love is not necessarily hate. It is also any fear. Any of these uh, ashtavakras, right? All
Yeah.
of those are not love. So those are the things. So anything that disturbs that love is what we can immediately connect and we can say. So if we say that we feel that love, that means there is absence of peace. And I
Yeah.
think the meditation and all those practices are only to reduce or eliminate these things that distract us from being that love.
Absolutely.
But it is the challenge. It is the challenge. So
Yes.
have to be constantly looking for that, and whenever some disturbance comes, we have to see that it is immediately not us. That is not us, and that is the first step, I think, and then uh, slowly get over that disturbance.
Sairam.
Yeah. Sairam Singh.
Sairam. So I'm just trying to recall the first part of Bhagavat Vahini. So we saw, how Yudhishthira and
Yes.
Arjuna and all of them behaved so human. They're so affected by their day-to-day happenings, and they were lost themselves, like just like we are, even though they have. Sometimes Krishna was himself present there, but in spite of that, they were talking about the Ashwamedha Yaga, and Krishna was saying it's not necessary, but still, uh,
Yeah.
he was insisting that we have to do that. And, that point, we were not quite clear what is the love they see with God. But then when they hear about Krishna, leaving this earth, uh,
Yeah.
and the thing that happened in Dwaraka, uh, they didn't even think twice. The love is God. That's where the second part of it is. They didn't even think twice and immediately said, whoever is there nearby said, this little boy is going to be the new king. Do whatever you can to support him, and they just left.
Yeah.
And then said, we are going to merge with God. And then they followed that through and live in love. That's what they eventually did. So I think Bhagavad Gita, even in the early part of it, was showing some of these qualities.
Wow, very nicely put. Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Sairam,
My
sorry,
question,
sorry.
I didn't answer the second part. What practices help me to transform? I still really do not know because
Yeah.
uh, with the current happenings in this country, it's very
Yes.
hard to really distinguish and say there is love. And so I'm still struggling with that. So only thing I can do is go and ask Swami every time. That's what I do. Go to Swami.
Yes.
How is this love? And
Yeah.
so hopefully one day I'll find the answer.
Saira, I think if we just go with, as Shankaran just mentioned, as to what happened when Krishna leaves his body.
Right.
See, Krishna being a god or divine incarnation, even in his lifetime, all those negative things had happened. So
Yeah.
whatever is happening now is in nowhere compared to whatever happened at that time. So
Yeah.
this too will easily pass. So everything is for our good. So I think that's the best approach to see it, because I don't think we can do anything.
Absolutely.
I don't think that should be the reason. I think whatever,
Yes.
even
Should
if we
not.
can do, I think we should just accept whatever is happening.
You're right. Absolutely. Okay. Moving along. Why is this? So the next theme about it was devotee and Lord are one. Swami's quote on the Bhakta and Bhagavan are not two. As you feel, so you become. So how do and these questions are mostly reflective. Okay, that's why it's in this it's in the I phase of things. So how do I journey from the feeling of I am different from God to I am no different from God? What is the role of surrender? Just like you just mentioned, acceptance, surrender in dissolving this sense of separation. Can we point it out? Can we dwell on it? May not be every day, but it would be nice to actually just make a note, whatever comes to you today.
Sairam, I
Yes.
think it comes with what we define as God. If we define God as a person with 10 hair or 6 faces and 4 arms and all that, then we cannot see us as being no different from God, right? Because we do not have it. So if you consider God as the personification of love, and there is nothing there. There is no form attached to God. If you go with that definition, then that is easier for us to see that we are no different from God, because we do feel that we do see that at some point in our lifetime, even though we do not see that all the time. And that is the sadhana that we want to take, so that we see that we are God all the time. I think that's where the difference comes. It's in with the definition of what God is.
Yeah, I think, but since I don't know if seeing God as different from ourselves in itself is very hard, because we are the hardest on ourselves. I think we always know when we are wrong. We know when we have not done something right. It takes a lot to accept ourselves first. Forget accepting the world. Understanding who we are, what Maya is doing, or whatever it is that we have come with. All of those things. I think the self-love when he talked about love, live in love. I think we ourselves are not reflective of the loving beings we are to ourselves. World comes next, right? You always know yourself more than you know the next person. But and that's where I think that the journey has to be inwards, to understand who we truly are and accept who we truly are. That's when we can surrender.
Sairam, this is I am different from God to I am no different from God. That kind of realization, this will take us lifelong. It is
Yes.
not instantaneous,
No.
realization. So we have to work towards it. So when we think of God, why do we think God is better than us? God is different from us? Because we see God through stories or whatever, that we understand from what we read, listen to. We think God is all powerful, all loving. And when we see us, we are not powerful, we are not all loving, we are selective. And in that way, as long as we have those, we always think we are separate, right? Instead of that, what I can speak for myself, if we want to feel that I'm no different from God, then we can take some examples like the Advaita, that example of these little waves. They
Yeah.
think they're small,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But then the truth is, they are all the same water, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All, or I was reading the Journey of the Soul book, and Michael Newton says the example of one big light, lamp. You light so many other lights,
Yeah.
right? We are all maybe different shapes, size, and small flame, big flame, but we all came from that one big light. So, like those kind of things, we can now and then tell ourselves to understand that, instead of thinking I am Shiva, I am Vishnu, or whatever name and form we think as God.
Right.
And then this Brahman thing, that one consciousness, we are all one. When I think of that, I can feel, yes, I am no different from God. Okay. So these are
So
all
that is.
gaining the knowledge and then practicing. And then we can practice this love all, serve all. Swami is a simple message, very
Very simple.
powerful,
Yes.
right? Even if we follow one of that message from Swami, I think we will, come to the realization we are no different from God. If we
Yeah.
can
Sanjay.
practice, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the speaker that I listened to said the same thing, Uma. Spot
Oh,
on.
really?
Just
Mm.
said the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah, it was his theme that he was the one talking about Bhagavatam in themes. Of
oh.
course, it's a very long series, but
Mm.
basically he talked about this and said,
Mm.
we don't have to go this deep as long as we can
Right.
understand help ever, hurt never, or love
Mm.
all, serve all.
Yes.
You have got the gist of everything Swami is saying, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, but that in itself is so hard. And he gives
Yeah.
so many examples of how hard it is in our daily life. From
Yes.
the sun, from the sun to the clouds, we are always unhappy that the weather is something,
Everything. Yeah, we
That's where it
complain.
starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
See,
just
we don't
saying,
even have to think, go to that level of thinking that I am God. Okay.
yeah,
Forget that.
yeah,
When we automatically follow Swami's messages, the simple messages, and be in a dharmic life, lead a dharmic life, do good things, don't harm others in our thought, word, and action. Those kind of things automatically move us towards the God path, towards God. So we don't have to think about, oh, I am not God. What are we going to do if we know that we are God today, right now,
yeah.
right? So that's okay. We can set it aside, and then the role surrender plays in dissolving sense of separation. That is, surrender always, it gives a lot of comfort. I can say for myself,
Right.
oh, when we surrender, we think we surrender only when we tried everything else, and then I have
Yeah,
no other option.
yeah,
But instead of that, we start the day with the surrender. I have the thing I quote, I read every morning, that I wake up from the womb of sleep. I
yeah.
surrender all my thought, word, and action. You speak through me, you act through me, you
Yes.
think through me. Like that kind of a, training, if we, have,
Mhm.
um, that really helps actually. We don't panic when things don't go in our way.
Mm. That is
You
true.
know, yeah.
Sairam.
Yes.
Uh, so I just want to, last week we had a session for the SSC4, and we are on chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita and verses 13 to 15. And of course, we are listening to Sarvapriyananda's interpretation of that. And he gives, in that, there was actually a answer to a question from the audience. So the guy from the audience was actually asking him, like we all ask here, uh,
Yeah.
I know and this is in Manhattan, right? So, we have high working in these high corporate jobs, and, we are constantly being told these are the targets to be met, and, you have to meet these goals. And, if I don't do that, I don't get the promotion, I don't get this thing, I don't, we keep on
Yeah.
doing, we build up all the stories to say how difficult it is to practice any of these.
Yeah.
And so Sarvapriyananda's answer were two forms in two things. I would like to just highlight those two. First thing he said was, a story about somebody walking with him, and along Manhattan. And so that gentleman was saying, how difficult it is to practice anything, so much work to do, and there's so much demand from the corporate world, and of course he's high up in the chain and all that. And so during that time they were just passing through a cemetery. And so, and I don't know if it was her, but look at that, they were all working so hard, all their lives. Look where they ended up. So this is Kabir's thing, why are you going after so many things? Finally, you're going to end up as dust. So remember that is the one thing. So then he quotes what is known as the imitation of Christ, from a book. And actually, what Christ would have said, an answer to somebody who said, I'm just not finding peace. So where can if I don't have peace, how can I follow any of these things? And so so he gives exactly the opposite of, 4 points, which are just opposite of what we normally go for. If you want
Okay.
peace, that's what, Sarupriyananda, emphasizes. If you want peace, this is what you have to do. So one, you know, don't try to be number one all the time. You be happy if you're the last.
Yeah.
you know so uh, don't rush after all these things. If you rush after those things, all you're going to build up is, all these expectations and all these things. That is number one. And number two is surrender to the will of the other individual. If somebody says something, most of the time, that is where the problem comes, and we face it every day, especially at home. So surrendering to the will of the other person. So whatever they say, take it. Okay, I'll do it. It's a very difficult thing where clash occurs. And the third thing, which I don't remember, the fourth one, is very, very important. That's where it ties into. And the fourth thing is, you know, just say whatever happens is the will of God. So, so if you follow those two, and then and then come to this thing, it's actually easier to come to this conclusion. Yeah, everything is will of God, and so because we are not fighting the system to move up, so that I thought I'll share that.
Thank you.
Yeah. The third one is
Right.
he says, try to have less, not more.
Yeah,
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always accumulate more and more, right? More power, more money, more junk.
Yeah.
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 Right
Sorry,
on.
Venkatji.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's okay. So, one thing that I have started, or at least I am doing, is whenever I see anybody, either even in TV or anywhere, I
Yeah.
just say that person is God.
Hmm.
First say that. First, before any impression falls on us, first say
Yeah.
that person is God. Okay.
Right.
Then you listen to that person, you watch that person or whatever it is, then let it come. But first thing is to say that person is God. I think that's something that I am following. I think
Very nice.
Sairam,
Thank you for sharing,
Sairam
Venkatji.
Venkatji, did you say that person is God?
yes,
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear it clearly. Okay.
yeah, that
Yeah.
person is God.
That's a good thing.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
because
difficult thing.
yeah, because the Maya will come and tell that oh, that person is this person is that. So before that jumps, first say as soon as for example, it need not be a live person. It can be somebody you are watching on the TV. It could be a person in news. You just say that person is God. Okay, then you listen or you see that person, then the impression is slightly different from if you don't say. That's what I am finding now.
No. Thank you for sharing, Venkatji.
Saira, so I do want to share one more thing, which is sometimes appearing in these, actually the social media. So, not all of them are bad. So like, somebody, in the local thing where saying, suddenly said, I really love this place. It's so good. And so the things they expressed was, I went to the store. It was just Wawa or something. I'm so happy to see somebody, a gentleman kept the door open because I was coming from the parking lot, and patiently waited until I came and allowed me to go in. And then before, so the fact is, we probably see a lot of things like that, but that gratitude, we talk about,
Focus. The
is
focus is
focus
not
should
on
be
that.
on gratitude,
Yes.
focus on what we are getting. And so I think you know, more and more we focus on that, that will be good. And in fact, our yoga, in the class, it's just a video yoga, he always says, practice gratitude, not, you don't have to have a feeling of gratitude, but just say, well, just look through and say, I thank, I thank, I thank, I thank.
Right. Yeah. Okay. The next theme, at least that was, we are following that. I'm going to finish this. So Swami always asks, who am I? Who are you? Who is God? And, just had a few questions regarding that. How does this inquiry align with our teachings of Advaita that Swami says? How does Bhagavatam's portrayal of the sages, build this inquiry for us? Again, just a reflection. I don't think we need to discuss that because we already know we have discussed this piece before. And then theme 4, just because I only have 4 minutes, I'm just going to go through this. Theme 4 that he said was, world is God's play. And take part with joy, but do not be bound. And I think this is stories that we have read throughout our Bhagavat Vahini series, where we have seen the challenges that come in. How does seeing the world as a divine play, free us from attachment and fear, that we have talked about in the past. How can we balance engagement in worldly duties? These are examples that we have talked about, from King Janaka to Mahatma Gandhi. Of course, knowing today is Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, actually. So again, we talked about detachment. We talked about the challenges with detachment. We talked about discernment, and the duty as well. So that, and then the last one that just wanted to finish this. Yes. So seeing God everywhere, just like the last thing that Swamiji in that video said, the Gopikas saw Krishna in every sound, sight, and thought. And cultivating this kind of vision, and seeing the same self in all beings, that is still rare. Swami always talked about the Gopikas and their bhakti to Krishna, and how different their relationship is, because they actually truly just saw themselves as reflections, of Krishna himself. So what changes in our interactions once we start seeing that way? And Venkatji just shared his practice today, and I think if we are able to do a little bit of that also, it may change the way we interact and how our thought process would be. So that is what I wanted to just bring about today. Just bringing together Swami's quotes, and of course through Bhagavat Vahini, that, and this is a whole series of things that are on the internet, and I have really just picked up here and there and put the themes together. So anything that is missed, it's just it I didn't occur to me, so so it's gone. But the essence of Bhagavata for Swami is you are not the body, you're not the mind, you are the Atma. Realize this and you realize everything, or realize all. So again, I come back to writing that journal, just making it one step that I can take this week, or just today, to live with greater awareness of oneness. Any step that may be for you. So does anyone have anything to add? Sorry, I know I talked a lot.
Yeah, I would like to add, I want to share actually that how to practice in life these teachings. I heard again the talk that it says like you practice ekatvam, that is oneness, at a conscious level oneness, like one reality and appears as many kind of a thing. Then samatvam at mind level, thoughts, etc., evenness of mind in sukha and dukkha, okay, in joy and
In
sorrow.
sorrow.
Yes, right? That is samatvam if we practice that, or samabuddhi. And then asangatvam, that one I really like. The asangatvam is the everyday detachment, okay?
Yes.
Day-to-day action detachment, when good and bad, ups and downs, every day we go through, okay? Minor or major, but detach yourself from that. This shall will pass, or whatever you want to tell yourself,
Right.
if we develop that kind of mindset, life would be easier if we practice these three, oneness and equal equanimity, and
Right.
then detachment, at a
Or at
sense
least,
level, control of body, mind, all kind
correct.
of things.
Control. Yeah.
Mm.
Control on. Yep.
Yeah,
Sealing on desires. We did all
right.
of that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
This
want
is
to
just,
share.
yeah. Thank you so much, Uma. It really is to just summarize all the talks, all the words we have used in
Mm.
at least 100 plus hours, because every session has been at least an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So and every first Saturday we have 30 minutes more, so
Yeah.
100 plus hours of chatting, talking, discussing,
Mm.
what is it, what do we come away with. So
Right. Yeah.
I think this was what I had. If there is anything else, I know we are over time.
Yeah.
We can continue the discussion on
Saturday.
yes, on Saturday, and we will start with the meditation and continue with our um, choices of discussion based on our review. So again, I have a bunch of life applications that we can talk about. Again, we will connect on Saturday. Thank you all for joining today.
Thank you, Saira.
Saira, let's end with Om and Three Shantis. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you all for being here today.
Hi, Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.